Hello, welcome back. So if you're moving cross country, I'm going to give you a list of pros and cons, whether you want to rent or buy, and give you some tips for both. So what are the cons of buying a house if you're moving cross country? If you're buying in a market that's more highly volatile, for example, Los Angeles, New York, let's just take the two most recent examples, DC as well. LA fires, right? Prices are going up. So if you bought ahead of this, you'd be in good shape. However, in New York, let's think about COVID, and it affected prices negatively at that time. In Florida right now, we're seeing prices go down because of the insurance and the hurricanes that have come through. So even though hurricanes have destroyed houses, and you would think that some people would just buy a new house when they lost their house rather than deal with rebuilding, because the cost of insurance are so high, there are more people leaving Florida or selling right now. So prices are cheaper. Another con would be dealing with repairs, especially pricey repairs. If you just bought a house, you're in a brand new area, brand new job, one of the big ticket item repairs came up, that would be a huge con. That could be a big cost. Another con would be, what if you decide not to stay there? What if you move to a new place and you don't like it? And now you've bought a house, closing costs, all of that, and now you need to sell it again. So what are the benefits of renting? If you rent in a neighborhood that you decide you like the area, but you don't like the neighborhood you're in, you're not stuck. If you don't like the town, if you want to move back home, if you want to try a different place, it doesn't work out, the job doesn't work out, you are not stuck. Sometimes with renting, there's less utilities to set up. There's just a little bit less to do. And when you're moving so far, it just makes life easier. When you're renting, you don't have to worry about repairs. You just make a phone call and somebody else deals with it. What are the cons to renting? Well, you'd lose 100% of all the money you pay. The other con could be you could potentially love the neighborhood you move into, and if there's no houses available, like some of the things we're seeing lately, you might get attached to the school, you might get attached to the area and get stuck renting for years and years and years and just continually throwing the money away. So what are the benefits to owning a home? Some benefits you might not think of. I actually think it's easier to make friends when you own a home, and the friends are going to be more stable because they plan on staying too. There's more longevity for everyone involved. So obviously, if you're buying a home, you're going to be building equity. As inflation has hit, as we've seen over the last few years, you can build equity, not even including what you're paying, but just the price of the house rising on top of the equity, the payment that you're making. There was a study that showed that owning a house is not only good for your net worth, it's good for your self-worth. It's good for your health. It's good for your self-esteem. So if you are moving to a new area, what are some things you should consider doing? Here are your tips. Try getting on Facebook and finding some local community pages. Also, the social media app Nextdoor, and getting into those local pages and groups as well. One thing I would recommend, of course, is get in touch with a great local agent. If you need recommendations, you can always reach out to me and I can connect you with someone, even if it's not in my area. So the benefits to connecting with a local agent, and why you should before you start shopping on Zillow, Redfin, all the websites out there, are, number one, you might fall in love with the house and it's not even available. Number two is, in our marketplace, in certain areas, it doesn't matter what the list price is. It's going to sell for might actually be $100,000 more than that price. So wouldn't it be terrible to be watching online and thinking you know what things cost and what you're going to need to spend, and it turns out it's $100,000 more than you were thinking based on your own research? And if you found something that you fell in love with, there's nothing more disheartening than being in love with a house that you can't have, and then moving forward trying to shop after that. It can be really hard. So let's say you get in touch with a local agent and they start sending you property. Now, maybe you don't know the area. Maybe you want a big radius of properties that you're willing to look at to try to narrow down and decide what neighborhood you want to live in, what area, what it's going to look like. If you wind up having a big list, 15, 20 houses, what I would recommend is when you go to the town, have enough time and drive through all those houses, drive through the neighborhoods. Go ahead and eliminate the ones that you just don't like. Now, if the market's hot, you got to do this really fast. You might not have time to drive through everything if the houses are selling within one day on the market. But if you have a few days, what I would recommend is drive through, go knock on some neighbors' doors. This will give you a few perspectives. First of all, are the neighbors nice? Are they people you'd want to live next door to? Are they people you'd get along with? Secondly, a potential neighbor has no vested interest in the house that's for sale. So they may give you the real scoop of the neighborhood, and that's invaluable opinion that will help you. So a couple stories of examples that I've personally dealt with or had an agent friend that did. So one is I had a couple coming to town. They had a pretty wide area of homes they were going to look at, and they picked out 15 homes to look at in 2 days. Now, I often say it's best not to look at more than 3 houses in one day because it just gets really confusing and things start meshing together. So in this instance, I made them a notebook. I put every house in the exact order that we're going to go look at it. And as soon as they saw a house, they were like, no, I just put a big X on it, like rip it out, forget about that house. They narrowed it down to 3 houses and they wound up making offers on, I think, 2 of them. I would not necessarily have predicted the house they wound up in, and based on all the things they wanted, all the things that were important to them, but it worked out really well. The second was out-of-town buyer came and they gave their agent 21 houses, and she said, I'm not showing you 21 houses. Go drive around and look at them and come back to me and tell me the ones you really want to see. So the next day they call her back and they said, oh, that was exhausting. And she's like, yeah, imagine if you had to see them all. All you did was drive by, and is that exhausting? So I recommend narrowing it down to a few real contenders and then going to take a look at those and start from there with your offers. The other thing I would consider about the market, back to the start, is there are certain markets that just don't fluctuate that much. So you're really safe buying in those markets. I'm in the greater Philadelphia area, and we are one of the cheapest major cities in the US. And so our prices just don't fluctuate that much. So if someone wants to come and buy here, they're very, very safe that their equity is going to maintain and stay if they were to come by here. And even if they only stayed a year or 2, they're going to pretty much get their money back and come out in a better place than if they had rented. The other tip I would recommend is it takes about 1.5 years to get used to a new area. I mean, you're in a new place, you're meeting all new people, you're meeting all new friends. If you go to church or synagogue or temple, meeting all new people there, forming new relationships, you've got to find a new grocery store, a new doctor, a new dentist. I mean, everything is new. It takes time. Even the way people are in different areas can be different. And so you even have to get used to the local way. So I recommend giving yourself 1.5 years. Try not to judge your new place too harshly until you've been there for 1.5 years. And for that first 1.5 years, try to find the positives. What do you like about this area? Is there skiing available? Is there a beach closer? Is there a major airport that you can go anywhere? Find the things to do, to enjoy, that you like, and have fun with it. So as always, if you need anything, feel free to reach out to me. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.